So, don't need to wear headphones. Welcome. Answers by Guests. Season 9. When I first had typed that I would be going live for episode 1 of this season, I wrote season 8. I'm just getting old. Can't even keep track of that. I have comments ready to go. Hopefully, some of you join us or me. As you can see, it's going to be just me. Rob had to step down this season and for the foreseeable future at least. However, chances are it's possible he might hop on for a couple episodes here and there. And to be honest, Answers by Guess as a whole, so that would be me included, we weren't sure if we were going to do it again. Just life just gets hectic. But each year football keeps coming, and because of that, fantasy football comes along with it. So I'm here, and for this episode 1, what I'm going to do is just we just had a draft 2 nights ago, Monday night, last night. Wow. See? Last night, and basically what equates to probably Rob and I's both of our favorite and most important leagues, highest stake, most amount of teams. I would dare say the best manager collective unit. So we had that last night. So for this show, I'm just going to go through the draft for the most part, and hopefully some people pop in and you can ask some live questions here. I don't know if maybe you have drafted already. It's possible you did. Maybe you draft next weekend. But we drafted in our most important league last night, and I'm just going to run down and sort of talk about how that draft went. And I have all the stuff listed, so we'll be able to talk about guys as we go there. And with that being said, I can throw off some of this. If you're just joining us, if it's your first time, I'm Guess. It's what I go by. Long time ago, got that nickname because of my erratic behavior, I guess, so to speak. And my buddy Rob, who is not doing the season with us this year, but for the past 8 seasons, he has. And he's not going to do it this year. It's just his multiple jobs that he's got. He's basically owns his own business on top of working for somebody else and another thing. And he's got 2 boys that are in the middle school age, twins. His wife's busy as well. So his life has just gotten hectic. And mine with the 3 little boys and school starting for now 2 of them. Same sort of thing. So we weren't sure if we are going to do it at all this year, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a go on my own. Again, this is the 9th year we've been doing it. We do it for free. We're 2 guys in the basement, and now this year it's 1 guy in the basement, 1 guy in a man cave. And in the past, we had been sort of scheduled. We would be sure to do a Sunday show, and I would do a midweek show. And before last year with Answers with Guests, it was both of us doing the midweek show. A few years before that, we were doing like 2 shows in the middle of the week sometimes. So it's going to be erratic. And just like tonight, I didn't post a time. Why? Because I didn't know what time I'd be able to get down here and shoot the poop with you all. But I'm here. And if you're just joining us, my goal for the night is to pretty much go through last night's draft in my favorite league, my most important league, and just talk about some of the players that I got, some of the players I wanted, some that were sniped, some that maybe you should look at. It's a 14-man league, so it's highly competitive, and that's been going on for 20 seasons. So without further ado, we can get into it. So, season 9, episode 1. Hopefully, I made this stuff on this thing, on this PowerPoint, big enough for you to see. If not, ask a question. We got 3 comments already. Post those in a minute as we get through it. So we are, and I refuse to change that to I am, because Rob, you are still a part of me, and you're still part of ABG. And like I said, hopefully any given week you might click on our videos to come and see what these 2 idiots think they know and think they say, and Rob might be there. You're just really not going to know. So this is the draft recap show. Pretty much just going to go through it little by little. If you have questions, ask them. How you doing, Scott? But I know you all say, give me more. I don't want to just know about Guess's draft. I want to know who Guess has his eyes on. Well, I've got 5 guys for your eyes. Week 0.5. 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys that you should be looking at before week 1 happens. And I had to start it off with my boy, Terrace Marshall. If you've been watching this show for any of the past 3-4 seasons, you know how much in love I am with this guy. He's been killing it for the Eagles. Their wide receivers are struggling to stay healthy, to say the least. I know they just got my boy John Mechie as well, but Terrace Marshall's been doing really, really well throughout training camp. He was injured for a little part of it, came back strong, had over 50 yards in their preseason number 3 game. And I'm telling you right now, this is the Thursday night game, the opener. Everybody's going to be watching this. On top of that, think of how many Dallas Cowboy fans there are. And now all of a sudden, how many, I'm being haunted, Eagles fans that there are. So everybody will have their eyes on this game. You need to have your eyes on Terrace Marshall before that. A lot of people knew about him years ago when he was drafted. I've talked about him ad nauseum 4 seasons, just waiting for him to land on a solid team and get the chance. I think he's their 3rd best receiver, as much as I love Mechie. Unfortunately for Marshall, you're going to have to worry about A.J. Brown staying hurt, which we don't want that to happen. We wish no bad luck on anyone, but Devontae Smith is always injured. Mechie's been injured throughout his career. And I know they like to run the ball, but I think they might want to take a little bit off of Saquon's plate as well this year. I didn't get to check and see because I was doing the dinner thing for the 3 boys and the wife and running around doing all the other things in the house that I won't bore you with. I didn't get to see if A.J. Dillon got cut or not. A.J. Dillon is someone who landed with the Eagles and could steal some of those goal line touches if he did make the roster. Today was roster cuts at 4 p.m. Eastern time, if you did not know that. But the man of the hour, I could have put him at number 1 on the 5 guys for your eyes. Terrace Marshall, I've loved him for years. He's finally in a good spot. If anything happens to break his way on Thursday night, we know how it goes. A guy blows up on that kickoff Thursday night game, and everybody's rushing to get him the following week. Now, the one good thing that you'll have going in your favor, if that happens to happen, it might not happen. It might not happen for a few weeks, but you need to keep your eyes on him. And that's what we do at Answers by Guess. It might not be for this week coming up, excuse me, but you need to have an eye on him before everybody else does. But the good thing about Thursday night, guys, is Thursday night comes and goes. People are hot on them Friday, Saturday. Sunday rolls around. It's a new list of guys that blew up on Sunday. And sometimes they forget about those Thursday guys that don't clear waivers. So maybe you still have a shot. Who knows? We'll see if something happens. But the dude was better than Jamar Chase and others, names that you know, when playing at LSU. So he's a stud, and now he's on a good team. Number 4, Roman Wilson. This one's a bit of a layup. I really, really think that Aaron Rodgers is going to sort of lean into Roman a little bit more. I love DK for Pittsburgh. I got sniped on him last night. I wanted him. We'll talk about that when we get to the draft. But I think Roman Wilson is going to look really, really good finally getting to play. I think there's their second best wide receiver. I think Aaron Rodgers loves guys like this. So I think Roman Wilson is someone you need to be looking at. I actually got him in the draft last night. Again, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And he was a name last year early in the season, but his season last year was basically nothing. He was injured. Nice. Dylan made the cut. Thanks, Tim. Excuse me. I should have grabbed a drink. But his last year was nothing. So this is essentially his rookie year. I think Rodgers is going to love him. This is an interesting game. Pittsburgh versus the Jets. Justin Fields versus old team. Aaron Rodgers versus old team. It's going to be good. Mason Taylor is your bonus. Since Rob is not here to give you a Rob bonus each week when I give you a 5 guys for your eyes. Oh, my God, Marshall was released. See, I didn't get to check the cuts. Well, I still love him. And you know what? He's going to be great on the couch week 1. Marshall was released. That just ruins my soul because I love him so much. And the only reason he was released, to be honest, is because they had Mechie. So they like Mechie more. They did the trade for Mechie, and that should have sealed the deal. But either way. So let's just make Terrace Marshall my Rob bonus. And since Rob cut himself, we'll just make him the cut. Mason Taylor, if you don't know, rookie tight end for the Jets. Justin Fields likes his tight ends, and I like Justin Fields for the Jets this year. I think their offensive line has been terrible. They killed Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago. They were a little bit better last year, and I think the mobility of Fields is going to really work out for this team, and I think Mason Taylor is going to be a great tight end for them. So someone you can get way, way at the end of drafts. The same as Roman Wilson. I think I reached for him in like my second or third to last pick. I don't even think he's in like the top 250. But he's somebody to keep your eye on. And I think this is a game where Rodgers is going to sort of lean into him. He's going to be a target guy. Yeah, it's going to be him and DK for the most part. You know I can't quit, guys. Listen, his trajectory towards the end of the year last season, I really got to get a drink, was great. And he looked a lot better, a lot more comfortable once he came back in. The team was competitive. They were scoring a ton of points. Drafting McMillan is going to be heavy in his favor. I actually have them as one of the only teams, a buddy of mine and I, we sort of go back and forth on over-under wins, losses in the preseason. I really like the Panthers this year. I think they were at, I want to say 5.5 or maybe 6.5. I can't remember, but it was one of those two. I actually kind of like them as a sleeper to sneak into the wild card in that week. NFC South. I know there's the Bucks, and everybody's going to be high on Atlanta. The Saints are terrible, though, and I think that they could sneak in over probably Atlanta or the Bucks, whoever comes in second. I think Panthers could be a good one. Bryce Young, really like him. Late quarterback. No need to draft a guy early. Just keep your eye out because if he starts clicking with McMillan, he's going to go from a guy that we all laughed at 2 years ago to somebody who you're going to wish you had in your roster, at least for a backup quarterback. Number 2, Kyle Williams. Patriots, they suck at, pardon my French, for drafting wide receivers, but I think they finally won one. I think Kyle Williams, he had a little bit of an injury. I think he's going to be that prototypical one that the Patriots have not had. I mean, really since what? Randy Moss way back in the day. He's no Randy Moss. Don't twist my words. But I think he's a guy that not a lot of people know about or are talking about. Now, also, I could have put on this list somebody that I'm going to talk about when we get to the draft rundown. I think Keon Coleman this year, and Ryan, if you're still watching, you sniped him from me. I think Keon Coleman this year is, if he could put it all together, I mean, he's basically the best wide receiver, if not really the only. I mean, yeah, we want to talk about Shakir and all that, but Keon Coleman for the Bills, I think he's going to be a really good sleeper. And he's in the same boat with Kyle Williams for me. If you don't know who he is, put your eyes on him because he's number 2 on 5 guys for your eyes. And Scott, I see you mentioned him. Number 1 is Woody Marks. I drafted Woody Marks in the Dynasty League. When was it? End of May. I was in the 3rd round of a rookie free agent draft, and I was waiting and waiting. I thought somebody was going to take him. They ended up taking the guy who's actually going to be probably busy week 1 for Miami. Gordon, I think is his last name, because Achan's hurt and Wright's hurt. He ended up taking him, so I was like, yes. I took Woody Marks. Shortly after that, another month or so later, now the Mixon thing's going on. Chubb is a shell of himself. Pierce was already hurt. I think Woody Marks is going to be their 3rd down back. And he could even get some early down work as well, with Chubb being the main focus. I think Chubb and Pierce will sort of cut into each other as long as Mixon's out. And I think Woody Marks is going to break out a nice third down role. I think last year I called it, and a lot of people, I say a lot of people, like a lot of people watch us. We have a lot of people that are part of our ABG family, but people fail to tune in. Maybe they watch it later, whatever. But the majority of the people that commented about it, I said CJ Stroud's going to have a down year. And I went through the entire season and kept track of wins and losses. Not so much Texans winning or losing, but him having a good game or having a bad game. I think CJ Stroud is going to have a great season this year. They drafted young wide receivers. Nico Collins is just that much better. And I think the dump off to Woody Marks is going to be remarkable. So I like him, and good call there. I'll give you some right there. And he called Thornton for the Raiders. Yep. And Sampson. Yep. Yeah, Sampson's got obviously a great shot. All right, so there's what my team is. Can you read that? Is this the hardest thing with doing this? We work on a budget here. Our budget is $0, and that's how much money that we spend. That's how much money we make. Can you read it? I'm working on PowerPoint here, essentially. If you can't read it, yell at me. But I was picked 3 in a 14-team league. You see, we draft 15 rounds. This is the team I wound up with. Bijan I had circled from the end of last season as my overall number 1. He was I got to get a drink. He was number 5 when I started, once I figured out my draft spot. Then he creeped up. He was all the way up to number 2 at one point. And then he sat at 2. And I was like, I got a feeling the guy at 2 is going to take Saquon. And I just crossed my fingers. And, of course, Chase went first. A little bit of extra time went by, and I said, there's a chance, because it wasn't an automatic click. Took Saquon. I was quick to grab Bijan. Very excited about that. Trey McBride in the 2nd round. Now, remember, it's got to go all the way through the first, all the way back down. So you can see it right there. Pick 3 to pick 26. That's a little early for a tight end for me. But I really think his touchdowns this year, I think early and often in the season, they're going to look to get touchdowns to that guy. Because last year he just had 2 at the end of the year. We talked about that on Answers by Guests all season long, that he just couldn't get in the end zone. His only touchdown until like week 15 was a fumble recovery. Somebody else fumbled, might have been Connor, can't remember. And he recovered it, and that was his only touchdown. Number 3, Mike Evans. I went old. I don't ever do this. And last night, I wanted to talk to Rob about it, but he was busy last night after the draft. But I thought for sure he was going to comment like, what the heck are you doing drafting Mike Evans? Because it's like, I love Mike Evans. I loved him back with Johnny Manziel in college, but he's old. And I always draft the younger, the sexier, the potential type guys. And it basically came down to Mike Evans or another guy that I love. and I loved them last year going into the season, Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I said, you know what? Their situation is a little rocky. With it's Darnold there, and Darnold had, I think, lightning in a bottle early on in Minnesota. Plus, the offense was perfect for him. His wide receivers were perfect for him. I said, let me go with old reliable and hope that I can get at least a few solid weeks out of Evans. Came back in round 4. McMillan, absolutely love him. Talked about him before. Round 5, Yahoo, when they were grading me, told me that was my worst pick of the whole draft. I think Ricky Pearsall is a steal. I think that's right around where he should be. But listen, Debo's gone. Jennings hurt, and Ayuk. I think Pearsall is a perfect pick there for my third wide receiver. And then it doesn't get much better than getting still value on Rashee Rice in the 6th. His court date won't even be until I think after week 4. So then I get at least 4 weeks out of him. And then if he gets found guilty of what he's guilty of, then excuse me, the NFL then has to take time to figure out how to suspend him. So it's possible I could get 8 weeks out of Rice, and possibly he could not even be suspended until next season. So if you're drafting soon and he's still sitting around that range, I mean, this was a guy that until he got hurt last year, he was leading the league in just about, besides touchdown, every wide receiver category. And he's without a doubt Mahomes' favorite. And he's back. He's healthy. I know a lot of people are going to be high on Xavier Worthy. He did all that damage without Rice. I think Rice is still that guy. Kelsey's on the decline. So I really like the Pearsall-Rice combo there, and with a little bit of Evans and McMillan. I think I can get a good 3 out of those. We'll talk about all the picks that went down and who I would have rather have had, but I'm happy so far. Then I went with Jordan Mason. Why? It's such an ugly name. It does not fit with what I normally do. But with this team, since I went with Evans and went to something I normally don't do, I said, all right, I'll take Jordan Mason because Aaron Jones always gets hurt. It's a great offense. And this could be a nice 1-2 combo for Minnesota. JCM, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. You all know the news. They saw enough out of him in training camp in the preseason that they realized we don't really need Brian Robinson Jr. anymore. So they shipped him out of town. The only one standing in his way is Austin Eckler, who, did pretty well last year, but he might even be older than Mike Evans. Maybe not. Maybe somebody can look that up for me. Rob, can you do that? I like it, though. I think he's a perfect fit there because if Mason doesn't work out, I feel like I have a starting running back to pair with Bijan with JCM. Then I went Fields McCarthy back-to-back, but as you can see, 23 picks apart. I got my mobile guy, as long as he can stay healthy. And I got McCarthy, who's also sneakily mobile, which a lot of people don't know about because he didn't play at all. Gosh, last year. Sorry about that. But he's mobile, and he'll give me some rushing yards. And best case scenario, they get close, and I'm starting McCarthy. I can get that push from McCarthy, or maybe I can get it from Mason. I think Minnesota's going to score some points. Trey Benson, I've only been saying it for 6 years now? James Conner, can you stop lasting? Trey Benson just needs that opportunity. Then down to Roman Wilson I talked about. And I went with Houston defense. I kind of wish I took Pittsburgh. But I went with Houston. I think their offense is going to be so much better. And last year, their defense really carried them. And towards the end of the season, they were one of the best defenses in the league. Then I went with the Tennessee rookie wide receiver and capped it off with my kicker. So let's take a look here. This is how round one went. Pretty much talked about it, how I went. Not too many surprises here. I think Amon fell a little bit, a couple picks. I think Christian McCaffrey being picked fifth sort of jumbled up some things there, but pretty much standard quo. Let's see. Round two went Puka, BTJ. It sucks because this thing is in my way of the bottom, so I can't see things unless I click off and click back on. So if I do that and I annoy you, I'm sorry. But here it is. McBride. I really think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a really good year this year. Look all the way down at pick 14. That was who I wanted. My hope was that nobody would take Omarion Hampton in between my pick at pick 12 of Trey McBride in this round and the next pick of mine, which happened to be Mike Evans. So I was scrambling at that point. I was like, a little bummed out. Somebody took Hampton down at 14, the end of round two. I think he's just in a perfect position. Najee Harris is the only one. I'm not even going to say standing in his way. I'm going to say standing next to him. If you get a chance to get Hampton on your team, I usually don't like the rookie running backs, especially for a Genty price tag. But Hampton at the end of the second, beginning of the third, I think is a perfect spot. I was hoping to get him there. Ended up taking Evans. If you go down this list, I mean, see, it came down to, okay, do I want to take Lamar? Thought about it. It was a little early for a QB. I needed a wide receiver. So I wasn't going to take Cook, Kamara, Travion. Higgins is a 2. I'd rather have the sure number 1, even though Abuka is there. Hurts, Daniels, and there's JSN. He fell all the way down to there. So I was kind of happy I took Evans. Chase Brown, we'll get to your comments in a minute. I'm crushing on him as well. I made a trade for him in a league. Round 4, you catch me all the way down at pick 12. McMillan, absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a stud. I think Bryce Young is just going to be great and at least get close to what people hoped he was going to be. You see at pick 5 there, I was hoping DK would have fell to me. He did not. So I went ahead and went with McMillan as my wide receiver 2. Then we come all the way back around, and I am at Pearsall. So I took Pearsall over Pickens, DJ Moore, Jamison Williams, which I feel like a lot of people were surprised about. DeAndre Swift is one player I was hoping, and I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on DeAndre Swift. And if you're watching the show now and you haven't drafted yet, my advice is do what you can. Don't reach too far, but if you feel you can get them right around this range, 5th round, 6th round, your guys probably be later rounds because it's not 14 teams. DeAndre Swift, the old Detroit guy, can't think of his name, coach, is now with the Bears. And Swift's most successful years were with him. Why can't I think of his names? If you know it, type in the comments. I'm talking about the coach. He was offensive coordinator, and he's now the head coach for the Bears. And he was actually with the Eagles before that when Swift was good with the Eagles. And went to Detroit, was good when Swift was good. Went to the Bears. The Bears reworked their offensive line some. They had the worst offensive line in football last year. I think Caleb Williams will be better this year. I think Rome Odunze, who we'll get to, is going to have a huge year this year. I think he's going to cement himself as a wide receiver 1 in Chicago. And I just think DeAndre Swift is going to far out produce where he's being drafted. Again, this is a 14-team league. I think round 5, 6 is right around where he's going. So if you're playing a 10-man or a 12-man, that's probably round 8, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. DeAndre Swift is someone I was hoping would fall to me. The rest of these guys wasn't too worried about. So I felt really good about my Pierce Hall pick because I had a feeling there were some running backs I'd get later, and I really want Pierce Hall. I think he's going to be the best wide receiver for the Niners. Kelsey going round 6, pick 3. The fall has begun for him. We'll see. I was very happy here. If you look at pick 10, who were the guys I was looking at? Agbuka I was a little looking at, but didn't really want to take it. I already had McBride, so Warren I had an eye on. I'm interested to see how Olave bounces back. Their quarterback situation's terrible. I love Jaylen Warren still, even with the rookie there. And that came down to pick 10. You see Austin's Antelopes, I think is his name. Rome Odunze, I think he's going to have a great year. That's who I wanted to take. And he got taken, so I went with my other guy who was right next to him on my draft sheet, and that's Mr. Rice. I think that's a perfect pick. So if you're in a 10 or 12-man league, Rice is getting drafted in like the 8th round. Like, that's just crazy for Kansas City's number 1 because he's their top dog. I mean, to sandwich him in between Travis Hunter, who by all means could be incredible. I actually think there's a possible chance that he outplays BTJ this year. But we'll see. And Debo, who is a shell of himself, and unless McLaurin signs, which I think he will, he's going to have some trouble there because if he's their bona fide number 1, defense are going to step to him a little bit. And he had some sort of trouble with that with the Niners. We talked about with the Niners, Debo, Ayuk, CMC, all 3 had to be on the field at once. Anytime one of them was out, the other 2 struggled. So I think Debo is going to really need Terry McLaurin to sign. So I love my Rice pick in there. Matthew Golden, I think, is going to be a superstar. Green Bay finally took a guy early on, first round, and I think they picked the absolute perfect guy. Christian Watson, goodbye. I think I've been saying goodbye to him for years. I think Golden's going to fit perfectly with Dubs. Tucker Kraft is obviously the guy there. So I think Matthew Golden, if you're looking for one wide receiver rookie and you don't want to spend up on the McMillan or the Bukas, I think Matthew Golden is the one that he's right around that mid-range value. But once week 1 hits, if he has a good week, I think he has what it takes to sort of be the top rookie wide receiver this year because Green Bay needs that. It's what they didn't have last year. They never have a surefire guy. They have 6 guys that are all exactly the same. Jaden Reed fell off a cliff last year. I think Matthew Golden is going to be that prototypical wide receiver 1 that they haven't had since Devontae Adams. So that's who I was going to take. Wound up taking Jordan Mason. Why? Because I feel like, although I love Braylon Allen, who you see Rob was the pick right after me, although I love him this year, I still have hopes for Breece Hall. And I think Aaron Jones is kind of on his last leg. Now, I took Jordan Mason, and look, 3 picks later, Keon Coleman guy I talked about in the beginning. I think if he puts it all together, which I kind of feel like he's going to, last year he had drops and bad routes, but he would have a splash play here or there. And it was just like, why can't you just do that all the time? Now he's got no choice. He's their number 1, without a doubt. All the big noise guys are gone. And that is one where I was like, shoot, I should have taken Coleman instead of Mason. But all things considered, I'm okay with it because I do feel like Mason, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be productive for Minnesota. The rest of these guys, Dobbins, I didn't want a piece of. Evan Ingram looks good for Denver, sure. Tucker Kraft, of course. But again, I already picked McBride early on. I'm not wasting a 7th-round pick on a backup tight end. Kyler, I think Kyler's going to have a better year. so on and so forth. Now, you see a couple defenses went already, and you might be thinking, what are these people doing? Well, in these leagues, in my leagues, I was the commissioner of 3 leagues. Fantasize Me, which is this league, which has been going on for 20 years. Then there's Mine Till I Dynasty, and that one's been going on, I want to say, like 12 years. And the other one was the ABG League. And this year I just didn't do the ABG League. Rob dropped out of that because he had too many leagues going on and keeping track of that and all the other things that I talked about, the reason why he's not here with us and won't be with us really at all, or let's just say not as often. And I was just like, you know what? He dropped out, and then a couple other guys dropped out. And I was like, you know what? I already commissioned 3 other leagues, like doing one other one on top of my total of 5 leagues now that I'm in. It's just like, do I need another 6th one? I don't even know if I'm going to have time to even hop on to Answers by Guests and talk football with the people who have been talking with us for over 8 years now. I say, you know what? A couple people got to drop out for whatever reasons. I'm just not going to do it. We didn't do that. So I don't know what I was talking about, but here we are at this. If you can remind me, I'm getting old, I forgot. Either way, there's my favorite pick of the draft. Pick 12, round 8, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He's going to soar up the boards. The only reason he went this late is because Yahoo did not adjust their rankings. And whether you do or you don't, the majority of people that you draft with, if drafting on Yahoo or whatever type of league you're in, they draft based on the board that's given to them. The guys are in a list, unless you're doing a live draft with the stickers and all that. So, like, they're not looking in round 8 for a guy who's listed down where, like, round 10 guys will be. Now, if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was up in the 4th or the 5th, he would not have been there in the 8th. And I think that's right around where he should be. He's looked absolutely amazing this preseason. And again, it's just Austin Eckler. Like, yeah, I get it. CJ's there. But I'm not too worried about him. He's been there for a few years. He's had a couple shining moments. But JCM is the guy they drafted to be the guy. And they saw that they had enough with him that they realized we don't need Brian Robinson, who we drafted to be the guy. And they got rid of him for a couple bags of chips. So I think that was my favorite pick of the draft. Round 8, pick 12. So it's essentially round 9. And again, this is a 14-team league. So if you play with 10 or 12, this is like round 11, 10, 11 range. So if you have not drafted yet, scroll down the list if they haven't adjusted those, and make sure you get him before somebody else does. Because hopefully, and yes, it makes it harder, but hopefully you're playing with knowledgeable people. And I wanted Charbonnet. If you've been watching this show for any of the 8 seasons that we've done so far, you know how much I love Charbonnet. I think that this could be the year that he at least gets to 51% over Walker there. But he took Charbonnet, so I say, you know what? I'm taking JCM. I scrolled down a little bit in the rankings. I said, I'm going to get him now, a couple rounds earlier than Yahoo says to get him. I'm just going to take him because you took Charbonnet for me, so I'm going to take him before somebody else does. And I think that's my favorite pick of the draft. Then we come around, I needed a quarterback. I took Justin Fields. I think that's going to be a good one. I think, he would have been, I think, quarterback 6 if he had played at the same level he was playing at for the Steelers before they benched him for Russell Wilson. And that was good enough for me to go to round 9. Because we've seen Justin Fields at his high. We've seen him at his low. And his high is ridiculous. And if I could just get somewhere in between, and I'm not even starting him week 1. That's the other thing. Draft ended. went and looked at my team and said, nope, I'm going to play McCarthy week 1. Why? Justin Fields is playing against the Steelers, a team he played for last year. Excuse me, a team he practiced against last year. They know his ins and outs. So could he still do good? Yeah. But I'm going to take, I think, Monday night J.J. McCarthy debut instead of Justin Fields playing against his team, the best defense in the league, Pittsburgh Steelers. Round 10, there's J.J. McCarthy. I took him back-to-back. Loveland has looked really good. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him and Kmet. I think Loveland is he looks really good. I saw him make a few catches in one of their preseason games. And that's another thing. I'm going to talk about it now before I forget. The other reason that I had sort of thought, like, maybe I don't even want to do answers by guess this year is because throughout the past 8 years, not every year, I would say maybe the past, 5, maybe 6. Because in the beginning, it was a lot different. In the beginning, I didn't have kids. Relatively freshly married, in my 30s. I had a lot of free time, and I would do a lot of research and stuff, and then didn't have time for that. So what I would do the past 5 or 6 years, and you've heard me talk about on the show, is I would go back and I would rewatch games. I'd speed through them, or I'd watch those what do they call them? Truncated games where they skip over the guys walking up and down the field and everything. And they just jump from play to play to play, just so I could really see everything. I watched the Red Zone on Sunday. It's pretty much all I watch. But then, Tuesday night, I would be like, I got to just watch through these games. And it would take a few hours. And towards the end of the season last year, I was just like, gosh, I had my youngest is now 2, but he was 1.5. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I want to go to bed type of stuff. And so I was like, I kind of got used to not rewatching the games to check every single little thing. So as the summer was going on, where I was like, yeah, I really can't do it. I was like, I'm wondering if I can do it, because I have been giving thoughtful insight based on seeing everything. And I don't know if I'm going to want to see everything anymore, because I kind of was like, I really don't need to do that. I'll try, but that was the other thing. So this year, I'm not sure if I'm going to look at everything. But whenever I get a chance, I'm going to do what I can. But I just want to put that out there, because whether some of you even know that or not, that have been with us for, again, 8 years, that I really want to pay attention to the little things that you don't see on SportsCenter or the Red Zone. I just don't know if I'm going to be that tuned in. And I don't even know if it's my personal choice. It's just sort of the way that life is sort of unfolding for me. So I just want to be upfront about that. But I'm going to do all that I can for anybody who does tune in. Again, this is a fun activity. That's what we do this for. It's fun. Rob and I have done this for 8 years for fun. And now this will be my 9th year, and Rob will tune in when he can. And we don't get paid for this. We just hope to help. And we've had pretty good success doing that. So I was a little bit leery of changing my approach to helping you, but I think we'll be all right. Round 11, let's get through this. Trey Benson, another one of my favorite picks. Talked about it sooner or later. Connor's going to go down. Dude just needs an opportunity. I love pick 10 here by the North Syracuse posse. I think Burden's going to be a stud. I think before long, DJ Moore is going to be the one that falls out there. So we'll see. I love CJ Stroud. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back year. Excuse me. Theo Johnson, I absolutely love this year for the Giants. I think no matter who the quarterback is, they are going to make him look really good. Whether it's Russell Wilson who loves his tight end, whether it's Jameis Wilson, who chucks it all over and loves his tight ends typically, or if it's the rookie, Jackson Dart. Rookie quarterback's best friend is the tight end. Theo Johnson looked good last year. I think he's an absolute sleeper towards the end of the draft as well. There's Ollie Gordon, who I was talking about, pick number 6. Both running backs in front of him are hurt. He might have a really big week 1 role. He could have easily, if I had had time to look at this stupid piece of electronics and known that my boy Terrace Marshall was cut, Ollie Gordon would have been 5 guy for your eye, number 5. Tajay Spears is going to be out. If you don't know that, now you do. Tajay Spears is going to be out at least the first 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain still. There's Mason Taylor. He was on 5 guys for your eyes. There's me with Roman Wilson, 5 guys for your eyes. And I'm interested to see how Michael Penix is going to be. I'm a big fan. Loved him at Washington in college. I'm hoping he can put it all together and really look good this year. So, again, there's more defenses. That's what I was going to talk about before. When I was talking about the leagues that my main leagues that I commission, nobody reminded me of it. Maybe I'm putting you all to sleep. But I went off on a tangent talking about all my leagues, and I was like, why the hell am I talking about all my leagues? This is why. The leagues I play in, we do enhanced scoring for defenses. That's why defenses were going early. They don't just score 6 or 7 points. They score like a quarterback, essentially. They're on the field for half the game. So years ago, we decided, why are we having this stupid position when they're on the field 50% of the time? Let's award them with points. They can lose a ton of points, too, if they suck. But they can get a ton of points, too, if they play really well. So typically, they're in a 15 to 20 range like a quarterback would be. So people are grabbing defenses a little earlier than you might be used to. If you're looking at some of these, like, what the heck are these leagues guest plays in? These guys are drafting defenses in the 8th round. Well, that's why. So it adds another layer of strategy, in my opinion, because you really got to have your defensive matchups thought out as well. You can't just trot out a guy and be like, if they give me 6 points, they give me 6 points. So it's not for everybody, but it's for me. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things because you can have a defense just blow up. They get like a pick 6 and a couple fumbles and a kick return. Like all of a sudden you're looking at like a 40-point week out of your defense. And you're just like, that's what I'm talking about. But it's the same as a quarterback. Quarterback's typically in the 15 to 20. But if you get a 30-plus week out of your quarterback, you're looking pretty good that week. So both of them on the field half the game. We figured they should probably be equal or close to it. Looking at this list here, nothing really jumps out. I took Houston as my defense. Pittsburgh went 4 picks later. I kind of wish I took Pittsburgh because then I could have came back and taken Minnesota because Pittsburgh and Minnesota have different bye weeks, but Minnesota and Houston have the same bye weeks. Another thing about this league is you are capped at moves. You only have 50 adds. You can only add 50 players throughout the year. So you can't just pick up a guy, hold him on your roster for like 15 minutes, be like, you know what? I'd rather have this guy. No, you got to drop him and pick up the other guy. And then next thing you know, burn through 120 moves. You only have 50. And it kind of sucks when you're on the outside. But on the inside, it makes every pick strategic. So like when the waiver wire is happening, typically you just pick up a guy. I don't want him. Let me pick up somebody else. In some leagues, you could pick up a guy, drop him, and now they're locked and nobody else can get it. So this is sort of like to negate all of that. It's like if you're going to pick somebody up, you better think about it. Now, we have 14 teams. I would say I'm always one of them. By the end of the year, maximum 3 or 4 people blow through their moves. I'm always one. I make too many moves. But if you break it down to like 2 or 3 a week and you could sort of stay in that range, it's really not that bad. But sometimes I get a little crazy. And injuries can screw you. But there's also IR. spots on these leagues, so you can drop guys in. I like Ayo Manor. I think he's going to be a stud for Tennessee. They do have a bunch of older bums in front of them, but it's guys that nobody would like to have on their team anyways. And last but not least, a bunch of kickers, and for some reason, Kareem Hunt. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Again, this was pretty much what we had planned, what I had planned. Let me see if I can get this right. That looks good. Just to sort of go through the draft, because Rob's not here. Every once in a while, he might pop in. But for the most part, it's going to be me. Will it be before every main slate? I'm going to do my damn best. And hopefully before Thursday game. Rob is the master of the controls. I've got a decent handle on it. So I'll do what I can do. Let's see what these comments say. Let's go all the way up to the top. I see that we got a few people with us. So Ryan, who was in that draft, Ryan Maticio was a high school friend of mine. I would call him a friend. Enough of an acquaintance and hung out and played basketball and stuff together that I would consider Ryan my friend for sure. And he's in a couple of my leagues, and sort of lost touch with Ryan after high school and through college. But he found answers by guess somehow. And we rekindled our like for each other. Let's keep it that way. And I'm glad. And Ryan thinks he won the draft last night. And I will say, Ryan, you did snipe me a couple times. You and Herm, who's another high school friend of ours. You guys sniped me a couple times. I was not happy, but we will see. I got my best Yahoo grade ever, and that kind of worries me because typically they're like, you suck. Here's a D or an F, and my team does pretty well. So now I got a B plus, and I'm a little bit worried. So we'll see. Yahoo doesn't know anything. Labor Day, 6 p.m. You ready for it? Always love the insight. Thanks, Tim. We're glad. Tim, you've been with us for quite a few years. He understands all the things I was talking about. Scott, you've been with us a few years as well. We love all you guys. Ryan, Tim, Scott. We're glad. And here's the good news of the day. AJ made the cut for the Eagles. AJ Dillon. Here's the bad news for the day. Marshall was released. I didn't even know that. Now, here's the thing, Scott. He says someone will pick him up. Will they, though? Will they, though? The Eagles were really his best shot. If somebody's going to pick him up, here's who should pick him up. The stupid Raiders who got rid of him to begin with. Because, yeah, you got Amari Cooper, who, might do okay for you. Jacoby Myers wants to be traded. They knew that before they picked up Cooper, they're saying. So why would you not bring him back? Put him there with Geno Smith, and he already knows pretty much the system because he was there. I would love to see Terrace Marshall go to like the Patriots and be in Josh McDaniels' offense with young Drake May and Kyle Williams on the other side. I hope so. It just sucks because he was killing it. And they made the trade for Mechie, which I can understand, but I don't understand why Terrace Marshall is having such a hard time. He's looked great. I just don't get it. It's got to be something. Something's not clicking. He got drafted by the wrong team. Plain and simple. If he got drafted by anybody other than Carolina, his career would be completely different right now, and people would be picking him up in the third round. The Carolina situation derailed him. I can't apologize for him anymore. I love him, though. Timothy's also high on Roman Wilson. He's got DK, he's got Roman. I mean, the Moose. The running back, Shayna Warren's going to be catching a ton of passes. I just think, they got Calvin Austin, who's my other love affair. But I really like Roman Wilson going into the year this year. I think A-Rod's going to really like him. I think he's the type of guy And I know A-Rod. I think he's the type of guy that A-Rod's going to lean on. I called it years ago when they got Alan Lazard from Jacksonville. I was like, this is a guy that Aaron Rodgers is really going to like. And Lazard went on that season and for a couple more to be a stud. And it wasn't until he started to fall apart and then they both went to the Jets that Lazard's name is now off the map. But Roman Wilson, that's who I would sort of compare, but way more skills than Alan Lazard. But the same type. I don't know if he's going to be like the blocker. Lazard's the best blocking wide receiver that I've seen. I don't know, probably in forever. He's an absolute master. I don't know if he has the grit, but the same type of patterns, I guess I would say, simply. So I feel it. Flyers on his roster, we sort of talked about it. Woody Marks, yeah, like I said, I drafted him in the end of May. I had put a circle around him. I was like, I don't know about the Mixon thing. Pierce is always hurt. Chubb is a shell of himself. This guy they drafted, Woody Marks. Let me watch some YouTube videos. Yeah, I like him. He can catch passes okay. Thornton we talked about. That would be one reason that maybe he doesn't go to the Raiders because Thornton is an absolute stud. And Sampson as well. Maticio. Both those guys excited. Maticio and Scott Thomas about Keon Coleman. Ricky and Jordan. Who are those two guys, Tim? You still here? Ricky Pearsall? Oh, and Jordan Mason? Good. Two guys you like this year. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I love Pearsall this year. Jordan Mason, I'm taking a flyer on for RB2. I could put him in a bye week type thing. I think that Aaron Jones, I mean, I love him. Green Bay guy, but he gets hurt. He's getting old. Jordan Mason's looked good when he got the chance for the Niners. He's in a great offense in Minnesota. I think he's being severely overlooked this offseason. And I actually overlooked him until about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, you know what? Jordan Mason. I got to put him on my draft sheet. I wrote him down, Jordan Mason. And he sort of fell to me in the right spot and needed an RB2. So he's actually going to be my RB3, I think. Once Washington sort of smartens up and is like, JCM is going to be our guy. Let's see. Nix, Lamb, Evans, Jacob Henderson. Okay, this is your thing. And Bo Nix, good wide receivers. It's Travion, Ingram, Sutton. What Palmer is that? Who's the Palmer? And who's the Allen? Who's Palmer? Who's Allen? Is that Jamal Williams? Is he? I see. I would never want to draft him, and I'm not knocking you on it. I'm just thinking. I'm just so past it. But I get it. Who is Palmer though? Are you talking Joshua Palmer? No. Boswell, New England. There's his kicker. Chase Brown's the guy he's chasing. You wanted Swift. I wanted Swift too. Yep. Bounce everything outside. He no longer does it. He's improved considerably. Yeah. And you know what? Scott, I know you watched all season last year. Rob and I would continue to say, because Swift was someone who I was taking props on every week, receiving props. They started out the season. He was like 12 and a half yards and like 1.5 receptions. It was just killing it. And then all of a sudden, like, he'd be wide open. Caleb Williams just wasn't even looking at him. It's like, dude, just throw him the ball. And whenever they threw him the ball, dump off, he freaking killed it. And his runs, he was getting to the outside. He was busting a little bit in the inside as well. And I just think it's a perfect situation to be with his old coach, who he had success with when he was in Philly with the same coach and when he was in Detroit with the same coach. He went to the Bears. Coach from Detroit. Can anybody remind me of his name, please? Now he's the head coach of the Bears. And I just think it's going to be a perfect fit. I think that Ben Johnson, I think that is going to be a perfect fit. And I'm sort of a little worried about Detroit, if I'm going to be 100% honest, with Ben Johnson being gone, because he was the one working a lot of that magic in Detroit. The players did great, sure, But now he goes to Chicago, and I just think I think Swift is going to be one of the most underrated. We'll see. I've been wrong before. You all know that. Brenton Strange, yeah, it's kind of strange how he sort of came out of nowhere and took over the world from Evan Ingram, right? But yeah, and he looked good last year. So here we go. Darko's likes him as well. And it's crazy how he just became strangely like that dude, right? It was somebody nobody even knew. And Darko, you could tell him way back in the day when I pulled James Robinson out of my ass. And you're like, where did you find these guys? I didn't even know who Brent Strange was. Then all of a sudden he pulls up on a field, starts to produce, kills it, and now he's relevant. And two people sleepers in this tiny little room in the basement of Answers by Guests. So, and you're not alone in that. And I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a little bit better this year. I do think, but I'm not sure if he can be. But I think he was putrid last year. We'll see. He is Daniel Jones, so we'll see. Letizio's laughing. If you have a chance at the top 6 QB, Marty, welcome. I haven't had your comment on here yet. You are a longtime watcher and follower and family member. If I had a chance at the top 6, I like them all. There were mock drafts that I did, and any mock draft I do, I only ever do it with the league that I just showed you. So I only ever do 14-team ones because the other leagues I never really prepared too much for just because it's so much more important to me. But I can't say never. I did 12. But the mocks I did this year, like there were times where I was like, okay, I'll take Josh Allen here. There were times I was like, I'll take Lamar here. Jalen Hurts fell to me in the 3rd round. Okay, I might as well just get my QB out of the way. Jaden Daniels. I worry about Daniels with a Stroud-like sophomore slump. I do. I worry just a little. So if I had a chance at a top 6, who am I taking? Who am I missing? Lamar, Allen, Hurts, Daniels. I know I'm missing 2. I think I'd probably take Hurts, if I'm being honest. I think I'd probably take Hurts. I know the wide receiver situation's tough, but it's not as tough as Buffalo's. And that's why he sort of gets the nod over Josh Allen for me. The wide receiver situation is better than Washington's also, so long as Terry McLaurin is holding out. I do think he'll sign, but he hasn't yet. And I worry about a sophomore slump or at least a decline just for this year with Jaden Daniels. Teams figure him out a little bit. Things don't sort of fall his way like they did last year. Very similar to CJ Stroud 2 years ago. And then last year that I saw happening, I kind of worry about that maybe just a little with Daniels. So I think I would go with the Super Bowl champion, and that's Jalen Hurts. Lamar is Lamar, but he's already a little banged up. He'd be close, but I think Jalen Hurts is just that much better. And I know I'm forgetting 2 of them. McLaurin signed. See all this stuff that I missed? Was that today? Yeah, Burrow's and Knicks. Yeah. Burrow was one that I was taking, but not as the top 6. Like, if I'm not going to go all the way back through my PowerPoint, but Burrow was one that I was going to take. And I'm not sure what round he fell. I want to say, again, 14-team league. It might have been like round 5 or 6. I was going to take him because he's actually my favorite. So I will change it and say Burrow. Why? Because I can get him later, and he has the best wide receivers. He also has Chase Brown he can dump the ball off to. He's got a plethora of tight ends. He's got Gesicki. He's got, what the heck is the dude? Darko, the rookie last year. I can't think of his name right now. Eric Ali. So I would go Burrow, and I would go as late as I could. Definitely taking him over Knicks. Jalen Hurts would be number 2. So Marty, I'd go Burrow. Yes and yes. Rob's giving me a peace sign. We miss you, Rob. There he is, having a great family vacation. I just got back from Disney World, by the way. My family took my wife and the 3 kids with us, 7, 5, and 2. A little bit of a crazy decision, very chaotic, very hot, but very fun. I had an excellent time, an amazing time. Strange will step right in. Yeah. And that's pretty much, what he did. He's going to step right in. The only issue I have is he as good as Evan Ingram? But the games last year where Strange played because Ingram couldn't, he did. So I do hear talk about him, and he's a perfect sleeper, sure. Buffalo's Palmer. You got to be talking about Joshua Palmer. Yeah. I would dump him. He's never healthy, but it's week 1. See what happens. Maybe he does something week 1. I've always been a Josh Palmer fan, but that's talk. Yeah. Well, they need to be positive because all they have is him, Shakir, Keon Coleman, and that's why I'm sort of a little more down on Allen than the rest of them. If Keon Coleman, if I had 100% guarantee that Keon Coleman is going to be the player that I think he can be, I'd probably put Allen the top of your list. I think it was Marty. Yep. But I'm going to go Burrow. You can draft him the latest. You could draft him 6th. He's got the best wide receivers and a team that's hungry, very hungry. If they can fix that defense just a little, it's going to help the team. And if they can't fix the defense, that's going to help Burrow because he'll be in a lot of shootouts. RB coach in Detroit was great. Eagles RB. Can't think of his name. Yeah, Ben Johnson, I believe. Okay, we did that. McLaurin signed. Maticio's just saying he signed. Noah Fant. Yep. Burrow also has Noah Fant. Yeah, Noah Fant. And he's got Eric Ali. And he's got Gesicki. He's just got a ton. And they probably still have Drew Sample. You know better than me. But that's what I'm saying. He's got a ton of weapons. Of course, Mr. All is hurt again. I call him Ali, even though he's all. Of course he's hurt again. He's always hurt. Gesicki will be hurt soon. Noah Fant will probably be hurt soon, but it doesn't matter because they have 18 tight ends. So I think Burrow's the best top 6 pick. Why? Best weapons, and you can get them the latest. And that just means you're stuffing your team with running backs, maybe a tight end if you get somebody like if you want to reach on Bowers or take McBride, and then a bunch of wide receivers. And then you just cap it all off in the 6th round in the 12-team league with Joe Burrow. I would do that. I think that you'd be best suited for that. If you don't like that route, I think you got to go a couple rounds sooner and go with Hurts because he's got the best weapons. He's still got some legs on him. He's going to get the tush push. So that would be my choice. Those are probably the top 2. Josh Allen, I'd probably put 3rd. Knicks, I like them, but I worry about these sophomore slumps with these guys. So same thing with Jaden Daniels. And then Lamar is Lamar. He's incredible. I would just pick the other guys, just a little more durable. I mean, Lamar doesn't really get hurt, but he looks like he could get hurt by the wind. And sometimes that scares me. So, and then here I go ahead and draft Justin Fields as my quarterback. So you tell me what makes sense, not anything I'm saying. But listen, this is Answers by Guess. And if you're just joining us now, Darko, I see you commenting a little bit late. It's pretty much going to be me this year. Maybe every once in a while, Rob might pop in on a show. It's going to be a mystery. Will I do this once a week, twice a week, 0 times a week? We'll never know. You just got to stay tuned to the page. The one thing I can ask, now there's only 5 people on. Before that, there was over 10. And I should ask then, you got to please subscribe to the YouTube. I appreciate the comments tonight. The more comments, the more likes, the more something just makes us want to do this more. We enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing it. And I have enough time, more time than Rob, to do this, which is why I'm still continuing to do it. So as long as it stays fun, as long as you stay with us, as long as you come with the questions, I'll be here to answer them. And you just got to stay tuned to find out when that'll be. Hopefully, at least before every Sunday game, and possibly also between Thursdays. I don't know if we'll have the same sort of run through every single game. I don't know if I'll be able to do the same type of answers with guests where I recap. I would like to. Time is of the essence. And when you have a job, and in Rob's case, 3 jobs, because you're running a company and working for another guy's company, and then we both have multiple young boys that drive us nuts, and a wife that drives us nuts, we've got to take care of that stuff. So we fit in the time where we can. We're doing this for free. We're doing this for fun. We're doing it for you. So we hope to help. Come with the questions. Come with the support. Like, comment, share, subscribe on YouTube, please. I mean, we've been asking for 3 years for people to just subscribe on YouTube. And it's only a couple people that do it. I know you only do it once. So if you've already done it, thank you so much. Ryan says, great show. I'll see you at the next one. Hopefully you do. Wild prediction, Denver is going to win the division. Knicks will continue to shine. I hope so. I like Bo Nix. I kind of have a feeling, I'm sort of glad you brought this up. I think the Chargers are going to win that division. I really do. I think they were kind of close, and then they sort of fell apart. 3 years ago, I said, I don't understand why everybody likes Justin Herbert. And then last year, I was like, I feel like Justin Herbert's going to have a great year. And you can go back and watch the show, and Rob was like, what? Is this the same person saying this? I kind of feel like he's going to this year. I kind of feel like he's got sort of his weapons in line. I think Harbaugh's really going to help him out in that regard. And I really like Omari and Hampton. So I kind of feel like the Chargers are going to win that division, but we'll see. And that's the beauty of football, especially in week 0.5, when we haven't even had one game to look at yet. No prediction is a bad prediction. None. But that's all I have for tonight. If you don't have any more comments, I greatly appreciate you joining. We've been on the air for about 74 minutes, and I'm going to go upstairs and finish helping my wife get the kids into bed. So until then, until the next time, which probably won't be until after that Thursday night game. So in the beginning of the show, I said, make sure you keep your eyes on Terrace Marshall. You know what? Don't put your eyes on him because he's sitting on the couch, and it's a little weird if you're looking in his windows. Good night.